Hello out there! My name is Jessie Reilly, and I am the Director of Education and Community Programs at Irish Arts Centre in New York City. For nearly 2 decades, Irish Arts Centre has opened its doors every Sunday before St. Patrick's Day for an afternoon of free Irish arts and culture for all. This year, given our inability to convene safely in person, we are offering the first online edition of our annual St. Patrick's Open Day event. This afternoon, we have a sampling of classes from some of our resident Irish Arts Centre teachers, a special arts workshop and community art challenge from Galway's Branar Téatar do Pháistí, dance performances from the Niall O'Leary School of Irish Dance, and our grand finale, a concert from the husband and wife music duo Zoe Conway and John McIntyre, joining us from their home in the Cooley Peninsula in Ireland. Building friendships and community through shared learning experiences has been a core to Irish Arts Centre's mission since 1972. Today, Irish Arts Centre's education program runs up to 40 classes and workshops a week in music, dance, Irish language, literary and theatre arts, and humanities. Traditionally, these classes convene in person, but the majority have moved online over the past year. Our next round of online classes are on sale now and will begin the week of April 12th, 2021. If you're interested in learning more about our classes, well, you have the opportunity to do so right now with a few short samples of our education program. First up, we have an introduction to the Irish language with Siobhán Kavanagh. Siobhán is a native Irish speaker and award-winning creative producer, originally from the Dingle Gaeltacht in Kerry, and now based in New York. Siobhán has produced and directed bilingual media productions for BBC, RTE, TG4, UTV, Radio na Gaeltachta, and more. She is also the co-founder of a New York City-based group that organizes Irish language events, including pop-up Gaeltalks. Please enjoy learning some of the Irish language with Siobhán Kavanagh.
Díomh is Misha Siobhán. Hello, my name is Siobhán. I'm an Irish language teacher with the Irish Arts Centre, and here is 10 minutes of Irish language, especially for you. So the first thing I would like to teach you is how to say hello. So there's 2 ways of saying hello, because you can say hello to one person or you can say hello to 2 people or more than 2 people, you know. So if you're just saying hello to one person, you say dia ruit, dia ruit. And if you want to say hello to more than one person, so 2 people or a group, dia yeeve, dia yeeve. And then the response to that is dia is smuirechit, dia is smuirechit, and that's if you're just responding to one person, or if you're responding to 2 people or more, it's dia is smuireyeeve, dia is smuireyeeve. I'm originally from County Kerry, west of Dingle, and so my natural dialect, my native dialect is the Munster dialect, so that's what I'll be concentrating on today. So to ask how are you, you say Conas atá tú, Conas atá tú, Conas atá tú. And if you're familiar with a lot of Irish people, we speak very fast, so a lot of sentences we run them into each other. And if you want to say hello to more than one person, it's Conas atá sibh, Conas atá sibh. And the response is Tá mé go maith, Tá mé go maith, I am good, Tá mé go maith. So if I ask you, Cad is anam dit, Cad is anam dit, it means, what is your name? Cad is anam dit. And to respond, there's 2 ways that you might hear a response. There is Misha Siobhán, is Misha Siobhán. So I am Siobhán. Or you could say Siobhán is anam dom. Siobhán is anam dom. Siobhán is my name. And both are used all over the country. If you'd like to say thank you in Irish, again, just like before, you're either thanking one person or you're thanking more than one person. So if you're thanking one person, gur raibh maith agat, gur raibh maith agat. And we run it into each other, gur raibh maith agat, gur raibh maith agat. And if you want to say thank you to more than one person, gur raibh maith agaibh. Gur raibh maith agaibh. Gur raibh maith agaibh. Gur raibh maith agaibh. If you'd like to tell people where you live, you can say Tá Coney orm I, and then you say where you're from. So for me, Tá Coney orm I New Aurach, which is New York in Irish Gaelic. Tá Coney orm I New Aurach. Tá Coney orm I New Aurach. Or you could say Tá Coney orm in NYC. If you want to tell people what you like, Ismalum. Ismalum. So, Ismalum, the Irish Arts Centre. Ismalum Rinke Gaelach. I like Irish dancing. Ismalum Rinke Gaelach. Ismalum Rinke Gaelach. Or if you'd like to say I like traditional Irish music, Ismalum Ceol Gaelach. Ismalum Ceol Gaelach. Ismalum Ceol Gaelach. Now in Ireland you might notice that we really do love to talk about the weather. It's not chit chat, we are genuinely passionate about the weather. So if you'd like to say it's a fine day or it's a nice day, Tá an lá go brá. Tá an lá go brá. It's a fine day. A lot of you might already know this, but to say cheers in Irish we say slánta, or you might have heard it as slánse. Both are, it just depends on the different dialect. I normally say slánta, but you can say slánse. So slánse actually translates as health. So when we're doing a cheers, we're actually cheering to health. So slánta or slánse. And if we want to say welcome in Irish, we say fáilte or fáilte. So both, it just depends on the dialect. Fáilte or fáilte. Welcome. And you might have heard Ciad Míle Fáilte or Ciad Míle Fáilte, which means 100,000 welcomes. So Ciad is 100, Míle is 1,000, and Fáilte or Fáilte is welcome. Ciad Míle Fáilte. 100,000 welcomes. If you would like to say good night, Ihe va. Ihe va. Ihe is night and va is good. So good night. Ihe va. So you might see the MH there. The MH, traditionally in the Irish Gaelic alphabet, there's no V. So they use the MH and BH to symbolise the V sound. So that's why a lot of people get caught up on names such as myself, Siobhán. They think there's a V in it. It sounds like there's a V, but it's the BH giving the V sound. And for saying goodbye, you can say slán, slán. Or for goodbye for now, slán go fóill, slán go fóill. In the Irish language, we have sean ockel, which translates as old words. So they're proverbs, some words of wisdom, or cautionary or humorous idioms. And I'm going to share two with you, which I think are very important and very, very popular as well. And there are hundreds and there are thousands of sean ockel, but there are some popular ones as well. And these are just two of them. So the first one is Tír gan tanga, Tír gan anam. Tír gan tanga, Tír gan anam. A country without a language is a country without a soul. Tír gan tanga, Tír gan anam. And this is my favourite one because I think it is so great for anyone who is just starting off learning Irish. Is fear Gaeilge bhriste nó bíorla cliste. Is fear Gaeilge bhriste nó bíorla cliste. Broken Irish is better than clever English. So if you're a learner, or even if you've just got cúpla focal, which means a few words, this is a perfect sean ockel for you. So that was just a few introductory phrases for the Irish language. There are so many resources online, and obviously we have classes in the Irish Arts Centre. There is also a lot of Irish language TV programming available on the internet for free. TG Cahir, or which if you're looking at it, it's TG4. It's the Irish language national broadcaster in Ireland, and they have incredible wealth of programming through the Irish language with subtitles. And you can watch so many programs online with subtitles. And look for the TG Cahir player. You will be able to see documentaries, you will be able to see music programs, animations, and lots of other Irish language content. So you can listen to the language and you can enjoy top quality entertainment as well. So Gurav Mahagat or Gurav Mahagav if we're talking to more than one person. And the one last phrase I would like to share with you is Tóg go bogey. Tóg go bogey. So it translates as take it softly, but what we mean is take it easy. So slán or slán go fóil, tóg go bogey.
Thank you, Siobhán Kavanagh. Next up, we have an intro to Irish step dancing with Jonathan Matthews. Jonathan is an NYC-based performer, creator, writer, and educator of dance, music, and theatre. Jonathan was introduced to Dara Carr by Sean Curran while a student at NYU's Tisch School of the Arts and has been dancing, playing music, and teaching with Dara Carr dance ever since. He draws upon his experience in traditional and contemporary forms to collaborate rigorously with Carr's trademark fusion style, Mod Éireann. Jonathan is also the co-founder and artistic director of Break Time, sings with the Cecilia Chorus of New York, and serves as a performer, choreographer, and musician for This Is Not a Theatre Company. Please enjoy dancing with Jonathan Matthews.
Hello Irish Arts Centre community and happy St. Patrick's Day. My name is Jonathan Matthews. I am a dancer with Dara Carr Dance, with which I have been performing at the Irish Arts Centre and beyond since 2014. For the past 8 weeks, I've been teaching IAC's winter hard and soft shoe classes for adults, and will be sharing a bit of what we've been working on with you today. Given the timing, what better to share than the popular traditional set dance named for our beloved holiday, St. Patrick's Day. Not to be confused with the tradition of group set dancing, set dances are solo steps largely created by 18th century dancing masters to showcase their fancy footwork. Many have been preserved, handed down, and are performed today socially or competitively at Feisteanna or Irish dancing competitions. The tune for St. Patrick's Day dates back to 1745, reportedly written in celebration of the victory the Irish Brigade helped the French to win against the British in the Battle of Fontenoy. I'm going to show you the percussive version for reference, but for our purposes I've made a soft shoe variation we'll be learning today. To transform our hard shoe St. Patrick's Day into a soft shoe version, we'll begin with 4 leaps, traveling forward starting on the right leg. The first has a brush followed by a kick. The rest will swing from that back leg. Swing 2, swing 3, swing 4. Instead of doing another one, you're going to swing, but then touch your knee. You're going to hop and bring it back behind you to initiate 2 skips traveling forward. And a 1 and a 2. You're going to want to do another one, but instead, the left leg behind you brushes forward with a hop, lands, and then sends you up in the air to a nice big jump where your right leg is kicking up behind you. We'll look at how that connects. We go skip 1, skip 2, brush, jump up and down. You've just jumped up and down, and then you're going to do a quick shift of the legs underneath you. They're going to change places, and then you're going to land on your front heel, the right. Switch heel, down. Little balance on the heel, and then your left leg catches you from behind. You're going to do another touch of the knee with the same legs as you did before. Right leg touches left knee and back, but instead of 2 skips, you go up, back, 2, 3, 4. Let's connect that a little more in tempo on the left side, but I'll show you how once you finish the right side, you're going to have the right leg in front again. So you have to bring the left leg from behind you to start the left side. 4 leaps. Here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4. Hop knee to the back, 2 skips. Followed by a brush up and down. Quick switch heel, balance down. A knee to the back, switch back, 2, 3, 4. Let's try with music. Standing tall, pointing 6, rising 7, 4 leaps, here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4. Knee to the back, 2 skips, 1 and 2, brush and jump. Switch and heel, knee to the back, and quick step, 2, 3, 4. Left a leap, 2, 3, 4. Knee goes back, 2 skips. Brush and jumping, switch and heel. A knee to the back, and back, 2, 3, 4. The set is essentially a reshuffling of the material of the first step into a new conversation. What's nice about this is that we don't really have any new moves to learn, but they are in a new order, which might be a little tricky for the brain at first. However, because of how the tune works, we only have to do this to the right side. So with that in mind, let's pick up where we left off. We have finished the left side of the first step. Left foot is in front. We begin with a knee to the back, starting on the right leg. Knee to the back. Only new move happens next. 2 sets of stepping to the side. Open, close, open, close. We then move to our switch of the feet, balancing on the heel. Switch heel and down, followed by that new move one more time, taking us back where we came from. We do our big jump, kicking to the back, but instead of that brush initiation from the first step, we use the heels initiation, switch of the feet, jump up and down. The heel's like, hey, that's my initiation, let me show you how it's done, and we do that move right after. So we switch heel, down. So together, that's switch jump up and down, switch heel and down. That heel becomes a knee to the back. Knee to the back, and then the heel just really has to get the final word in. It happens one more time. Switch heel and down. We have 2 more sets of stepping to the side. A 1, a 2. Big jump says not so fast. This is my time to shine. Switch jump up and down. After all of that hubbub, the front leg just peels to the back with 3 steps. A 1, 2, 3, to set us up to end kind of the way we began, with 2 leaps this time. Leap 1, leap 2. That leg that's up in the air is going to do 1 more knee to the back, step back, 2, 3, 4. And there you have it. Just the set, slowly, right foot only, here we go. And knee to the back. 4, 5, 6, 7, switch heel step, 4, 5, 6, 7, switch jump, switch heel step, and knee to the back, switch heel one more time, a 1, a 2, switch jump one more time, bring it back, 2, 3, 2 leaps, a knee to the back, and back, 2, 3, 4. Let's put it all together now. First step, right and left, and our set, only the right foot, still slow, still talking it through. Here we go with 4 leaps. 1, 2, and down and switch heel. Here's our knee to the back, switch heel one more time. And 1 and 2, switch and jump one more time. Bring it back, 2, 3, 2 leaps, 1. And a knee to the back, and back, 2, 3, 4. So I want to end by bringing it all up to speed. No talking, just dancing twice through. Follow along as best as you can and have fun. Here we go. Left side. Here's our set. Hup. One more time. Left side. Here's our set. Woo!
Thank you, Jonathan Matthews. And now, a taste of Intro to Playwriting with Beto O'Byrne. Beto received his MFA in dramatic writing from the University of Southern California. He is the author of 15 full-length plays, as well as the co-founder of Radical Evolution, a multi-ethnic, multidisciplinary producing collective based in Brooklyn, New York. His work has received productions in Los Angeles, California, Austin and San Antonio, Texas, and New York City, where he is a playwright in residence at the Stella Adler School of Acting and a 2050 Fellow at New York Theater Workshop. Beto is the former artistic director of the Austin Latino Theater Alliance, and his commissions include work for 52nd Street Project, the Foundry Theater, the Movement Theater Company, and Watts Village Theater Company. Please enjoy Intro to Playwriting with Beto O'Byrne.
Hey there, my name is Beto and I'm the playwriting teacher at the Irish Arts Center. I'm really excited to get to create this video and to share a little bit around what we do in the playwriting classes at IAC. Specifically, I want to share an exercise that I do in class. This is an exercise I like to introduce really early on because I find it super helpful to have it in your back pocket as you begin to write your plays. I do that because we live in a world of screens. And inevitably, we're going to see more stories told on screens than we ever will on stage. This isn't a criticism. This is just a reality of our world. And as playwrights, it can be really hard to retrain our brain to visualize how our work is going to be seen on stage in 3 dimensions and for a live audience. So this exercise I'm going to do with you right now is intended to help create that focus. It's really simple. It's a writing exercise. So you're going to want to find some paper and something to write with. It's best to hand write for this exercise, but if you want to use a keyboard, I'm not going to stop you. And as we're talking through this, if there's anything that you want to draw, any elements of what we're doing, if that's helpful to you, please feel free to do so. I'm a very visual learner and thinker as well, so I find that also to be very useful. I am going to help us with this project by lighting a digital candle to help us focus. So let's do that now. Boom. Great. So I want to start by asking you to recall or envision in your mind a theater. This can be a theater that you love. This can be a theater that you love to go see work in. A theater where you had a transformative experience as an artist or an audience member. It could be any place. It could be a place from your school. It could be a theater on Broadway. It could be just the local space down the street, really, whatever it is. It just wants to be a place that means something to you. And if you don't have a theater like that that means something to you, then you have the joy of getting to make it up. If it does, and it is a real space and it has a name, what is its name? And go ahead and write that name on the top of your piece of paper. If it doesn't have one, then what do you want to call this theater? What do you want to name it? Name it if you can. Call it whatever you want to call it, and put it into the space. We're going to start by describing this theater, and we're going to start with the stage itself. I want you to visualize yourself standing in the middle of the stage, standing in where we call center, the dead center of the stage. Look to your left, look to your right, look behind you, look in front of you. Get a sense of everything you see. What kind of stage are you standing on? What does the stage itself look like? Is it what we call a proscenium stage, which is the traditional stage kind of set up a little bit, those looking over the audience? Most older theaters are proscenium stages. Is it what we call a thrust stage, a stage that has audience on both the left and the right side as well as in front? Is it a shoebox stage or a downtown space that is just, a room that seats have been put into, like maybe like in a basement somewhere? Is it set up like in an alley style or in tennis style where there is no front or back, but there's audience on both the left and the right side? What is the general construction of that space? Go ahead and write that out or draw it if it's useful. How big is this stage? How many actors could comfortably fit on this stage and act? What is the size of it? The general size of it? What is the stage itself made of? Is it made of wood? Is it made of cement if it's a basement kind of theater? Is it made of that kind of soft, bouncy material that choreographers love and dancers love because you can move and dance very easily on it? If you're standing center stage and you look above you, what do you see? Do you see a lot of lights? Is there a lot of rigging above you? Is there a grid? How many lights are there? Is it a fancy grid? All kinds of new and fun lighting toys and digital lights up there? Or is it just a few simple cans giving you the basic sense of what it can do? If you look to your left, what do you see? Can you see backstage from your left? Is there a backstage? If you look to the right, is there a backstage on that side as well? Can you see behind it? Are there curtains that frame the stage? If you turn around and look behind you, what do you see? Do you see a back wall? Is the back wall of the theater the back wall of the stage? Is there something behind it? If you walk backstage, can you see what is back there? Is there a backstage at all? Now go back and restand in the center of the stage and look in front of you and look into the seats. Right now, all these seats are empty. When your play gets put in this space, they'll all be full. It'll be a sold out experience. But for now, I just want to see what kind of seating is there? What kind of audience seating is there? How many seats do you have? Some of the greatest theater spaces in New York City have less than 99 seats. One of them has maybe 60. Some of our big theaters reach up into the thousands of seats. Where does this theater sit inside of that? What are the seats themselves made of? Do they have fabric on them? Are they hard? Are they seats at all? Are they just, benches? What color are they? How is the seating arranged? Is there a rake or an angle to them? Is there a balcony space? Is there a standing room space? If you look to the sides and to the back, what do the walls of this room look like? Are they ornate in gold like an old classic European theater? Can you even see them? How are the audiences getting to their seats? Where are the aisles that are going in? Are there stairs? How many aisles are there? Now I want you to make your way to the front of the stage and go ahead and step down and find one of those aisles that you saw. And I want you to walk through it. Go ahead and as you're passing through the seats, go ahead and reach out and touch one of those seats. And one day we'll be filled with audiences here to see your play. What do they feel like? What does the air around you feel like? Is it cold? I know a lot of theaters are very cold before the show starts, and the lights heat them up. Do you see, is there a place for an orchestra pit, right? Is there a place for musicians, or do they sit on stage or off stage? Or is that even something that's been considered in this space? Keep walking through the audience and make your way past the seating area and go ahead and step into the lobby. What does the lobby of this theater look like? Is there a ticket booth? Is there just a person in black standing next to a folding desk, holding a few folded playbills that they'll be passing out? Is there a concession stand? What is on the walls of the lobby? Posters from old shows, images of famous actors that have worked at the theater. What do you see? Are there windows? What are those windows looking out of? Are there tables and seating area for people to sit around? Take it all in. And find the doors of the theater. What do they look like from the inside while you're standing in the lobby? Go ahead and walk over to the doors and open them and walk through. What is outside the theater? Are you standing on a street? If so, what kind of street is it? Is it a busy street? Is it like the Cherry Lane Theater in New York that's kind of built into an old neighborhood? Or is it in an industrial area? Where are you? What does it look like? Or do you walk out into another part of a bigger building? Are you seeing other places? Turn around and look at the front of the theater. What does the facade look like? Is there a marquee that has the name of the show? Are there frames for you to put show posters in? Is there just a sandwich board that has the show's name on it? Go ahead and open the doors of the theater. Walk back into the lobby. Walk through it, back into the house. Walk through the audience. Step back up onto the stage. Take one last look around. Think about the stage, think about the audience, think about the building. Make any adjustments that you want. Look back at what you've written, look at what you have drawn, make any changes that you want to make. Anything that you think makes this theater unique. This is always really good to make sure to include. If you have any last thoughts and they haven't come through, feel free to go ahead and pause it. Was. Great. So you have now what you have created in your piece is your mind's eye theater. It's the place that when you are writing your play, you will envision it taking place. So as you're writing scenes, when you write your set design, imagine your set being put on this theater. When your characters enter and exit, when the lights come up, this is all the place you're going to put your show in this theater, right? This is a really, really useful tool that you're in, that you're going to be able to have, like that you can use this over and over and over again. I've used the same theater in my head that I have used for the past 15 years. Whenever I begin, I start by imagining it in that space, At first, it can be a little tricky to retrain your brain. Like I said, we're so used to seeing everything on screens. So we so often start out by imagining headshots, right? Of people, right? Of close-ups and of frames like that. But remember, we don't experience theater in close-ups, right? We experience it live and in 3 dimensions. So it's really useful to have this in your back pocket, right? So yeah, that's just one of the many exercises that we do at Playwriting and at the Irish Arts Center. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you find it useful. We have our fundamentals of playwriting, our introduction to playwriting class, which is the first class. And if you find that you enjoy it and you want to keep moving forward, we have our writer's workshop, which is the advanced class where we spend most of our time sharing pages and getting feedback. It's really designed to be a class that's useful for you in an ongoing basis, and you can take it as many times as you like, as if it's something that you find fruitful for you in your writing practice. Thank you so much for sharing this time with me. Feel free to reach out if you have any questions, and I hope to see you playwrights at the Irish Arts Center.
Thank you, Beto O'Byrne. Our next teacher, James Cleveland, started out as a student at IAC and has been teaching fiddle for Irish Arts Center since 1999. James plays regularly in NYC sessions, especially the Dempsey session at Sláinte and Mary O's Irish session in the East Village, and for dances with Ken Borgeson and accordionist Jack Durkin on Long Island. He started playing the fiddle as an adult at age 30, which gives him insight into the needs of the adult beginner. So today he is going to share some of that insight with you and an introduction to the fiddle. Take it away, James.
Hi, I'm James Cleveland, fiddle teacher at Irish Arts Centre. I've been teaching the fiddle 20 years, and I've taught hundreds and hundreds of students to play. I started the instrument as an adult beginner myself, so I know what it's like. And you, like me, might have some questions. Shouldn't I have started as a kid? Is it possible to get really good? Do I need to read music? Do I need to have a musical background? Do I need to be Irish? I hope this video will answer some of your questions and give you an idea of what to expect in a fiddle class, or really picking up any instrument. Let's start with the fiddle itself. Okay, I sometimes get the question, what's the difference between a fiddle and a violin? Well, they're the same instrument, but the style is different. And you might have a question about how to get one. Some of us are lucky that maybe you had an instrument in your house, your grandfather had one, or you were inherited one from an uncle, and that's fantastic. Others, you feel like, oh, maybe I should buy one, or should I rent one? And I recommend renting over purchasing, because violins or fiddles are expensive, and you'll need to know a little bit before making that choice. The Irish Arts Centre has a website, on their website, and also my own personal website, on places where you can rent one reasonably. Now there's some accessories that you would probably want too. One would be a shoulder rest. This is a shoulder rest. It goes over here, and so you can hold the fiddle without holding it up with your hand. It makes it very comfortable to play. There's also the bow, right? This is the bow. You tighten it. It's made of horsehair and wood. And then you also want some rosin. And the rosin makes makes it so the bow will make sound on the string. It's really made of pine sap, this rosin. It's the same things that dancers will use on their shoes. Okay, so now I have my fiddle. Do I have what it takes? Am I too old? No. I've had students that start playing at 80. I started playing at 30, as I mentioned before. And the great fiddler Alistair Fraser once said that playing the fiddle is inevitable, so you might as well get started. How much time will it take? Now, this is a good question. And it depends on how much practice you put in. But in the absolute beginning fiddle class, we learn a tune in the second week. And by the end of 8 weeks, you'll know 5 tunes. Now, you'll continue to get better as you continue to play and learn and add these melodies to your memory. Do I have to have a musical background? No, just a willingness to learn. Do I have to be Irish? No. Irish music is popular the whole world round. You just have to like Irish music. Do you have to read music? No. It's not the tradition, and this music is passed on orally or by ear, the same way that you would learn to sing a song. And when you learned how to sing Happy Birthday, I don't think you ever saw the sheet music for that. So we learned how to play the fiddle the same way. And it gets in the way as well. So what you do need is to have an open mind and be willing to learn new things. Practice is also important. Practice a little bit every day. 10 to 20 minutes at the beginning is fine. If you have more time, great. But practicing a little bit every day, I used to say to my students, it's like bathing. Doing a little bit every day is better than 2 hours once a week. And it's a bit of a miracle, practice. The more you do it, the better you get, and it's astonishing. Is it hard? Well, it's kind of hard. But it's actually not as hard as you might imagine. And it's really rewarding, and it's super, super fun. So now that we know this stuff, what are the next steps? What you would expect to learn in a class. In the absolute beginning class, we learn how to hold the fiddle and the bow, and how to produce a good tone, as far as playing right between the bridge and the fingerboard. We learn how to play comfortably, And we learn how to learn tunes. We'll learn 5 tunes in the absolute beginning class. We also get started with ornamentation. Now, ornamentation is really what makes Irish music Irish. For example, I'm going to play at the end of this video, Dawning of the Day, first time without ornamentation and then with ornamentation. Now, if you are coming to the instrument as a classical player and you've played the violin before, or you've played the Irish fiddle before, there is a class for you. There is a place where you can learn the style and the ornamentation and the tunes that are up to your speed. So I'm going to close now with Dawning of the Day. This is the tune that the absolute beginning players will play at the end of term party. So since we're doing this end of term party virtually, you'll have just me do it. But the first time I'm going to play the tune without ornamentation, and the second time with a bit of ornamentation, so you can hear how that Irishness creeps into the music. Dawning of the Day. It's also known as the melody to the song On Raglan Road. So if you know that song, this is the same melody. I'm James Cleveland. I hope to see you in a class.
Thank you, James Cleveland. Our next teacher, Brad Lawrence, was the first storyteller to win back-to-back Moth Grand Slams and has been featured on the Moth main stage, podcast, and radio hour. His writing was most recently featured in McSweeney's. He has appeared on the shows The Liar Show, Adam Wade Super Stories, The Risk Podcast, Story Collider, and How I Learned, and performs hour-long solo shows in cities around the country to critical acclaim. Brad has also co-produced and performed in storytelling and variety shows at the Edinburgh Fringe Festival, South by Southwest Interactive, and in conjunction with WBUR, USA Network, Casper Mattress, and Grant's Whiskey. He is a teacher for the Story Studio, as well as Irish Art Center, and a story coach for the Risk Live show. Please enjoy an intro to storytelling with Brad Lawrence.
Hello, my name is Brad Lawrence, and I am the storytelling instructor at the Irish Art Center. What I teach in storytelling levels 1 and 2 is the art of personal narrative storytelling. This is the kind of storytelling you might see at a live show like The Moth, or Story Collider, or Risk, or perhaps here on a radio program like This American Life. It is true stories from your own experience, crafted to be performed on, say, a stage for entertainment, or perhaps as part of a professional presentation, a pitch or a job interview, or just to communicate to your loved ones about the experiences of your life that have been important in informing who you are. Anytime you need to communicate, a story can be a way of bolstering that communication, of communicating your own expertise and hard-won wisdom through the experiences of your life that have shown you what it is that you value, what's important to you, and informed you about the kind of person you want to be in the world. Those experiences are what we use to craft these stories. Now, obviously, I cannot give you an entire storytelling class in the time we have allotted today, but I thought I might be able to go over one of the many concepts that I teach in the course of a storytelling class that I think really goes a long way to crafting a compelling story. Oftentimes in storytelling classes, we talk about essential elements, we talk about structure, I have a structure map that I show the students that sort of leads them through creating and structuring a story. But one of the elements that I think is most valuable and the most fun to play with is something I call narrative information versus sensory information. Now, what do I mean by that? Well, narrative information is the basic architecture that a story is hung on. The basic information that sort of says, here's where I was in space and time, and, essential information that gives people a clear idea of where you were in the world when the experience that you're talking about happened to you. Sensory information, that's the color. That is the details and vivid moments that sort of fill in that narrative architecture and make it vibrant, make it feel like a lived experience for the person who's listening to it. Let's give you an example. Say you're trying to tell a story about a time that you were in a grocery store that was held up at gunpoint. Now, narrative information basically just sort of tells us where you are in the world. You're in a grocery store. You are not in your apartment. You have left your apartment, you've gone down the street across the block, and you are now in a grocery store, right? That is basic information. It's just putting us in a place, in a time. We know where you are and what you're doing. What you're not going to tell us about that kind of stuff is you're not going to tell us about how many flights you had to go down to leave your apartment and every baby and car and pet you saw on the street while you were on your way to the grocery store. You're just kind of trying to get us to where the action takes place. None of that stuff is important, so that gets left to the side. You left your apartment, you went on the street, crossed the block, you're in the grocery store. That's more than we actually need. We need to know that you're in the grocery store. Now, you're standing in line at the grocery store, and suddenly the door bursts open and some guy starts waving a gun around and saying this is a holdup. Here's where we get to the emotionally intense moment, and now this is where sensory information comes into play. Because now we have an emotionally intense moment that you need to make come alive for the listener. Again, all the stuff that you passed on the way to the grocery store, that stuff, no emotional impact. Not important, don't need it. Now there's something emotional, something vibrant and real and life-threatening in this case is happening. Now we've got to put the listener in your shoes, and we do that by providing sensory information. When the guy bursts through the door, is he waving a gun around? Well, is the gun black or is it silver? Where is it pointing? Is it pointing at you? Is it pointing at the girl behind the register? How are the people responding around you? Is the girl behind the register, is she freaking out and panicking, or is this her fifth holdup for the week? The guy, when he bursts in and says it's a holdup, does he say it low and menacing, or does he shout it? Does he want everyone to know? The old lady behind you in line you didn't notice before, does she pass out? Does she start yelling at the guy? What does she do? Right? Now we're in a moment that needs to be described and brought to life. And how do you do that? You do that through sensory information. Sensory information is described using the 6 senses. You'll notice I added one. Now, the first 5 are pretty self-explanatory: sight, sound, smell, taste, and feeling. They're pretty self-explanatory, but they are nuanced, and that is important. For instance, we often think of sight as kind of the big marquee sense. It's where all the colors is. And so we tend to think of that as our primary sense. It's kind of a default notion we have. But sight is actually not how the world usually comes to you first. Going back to the guy who bursts in to hold up the grocery store. Unless you happen to be looking directly at the door at the minute he bursts in, sight is not going to be the first way that you are aware of that guy's presence. You're going to hear him hit the door and shout, "This is a holdup," right? So sound is the first way the world comes to you. Sound, hearing, is your early warning system. And then you turn to look at what's happening. Sight is for focused information, right? Early warning, focused information. None of these things are not always hard and fast, but that's generally how these things go. Smell and taste are very, very visceral senses. They're very evocative. They're very intimate. Smell and taste is often associated deeply with memory. The foods of your childhood, holidays, the smells of your grandmother's cooking, that kind of stuff. Smell is actually the part of the brain that registers smells actually sits very close to the part of the brain that registers memory. So these things, they really sort of, they bring you there. When you can communicate using smell or taste, you're really sort of evoking something in the listener. Now let's get to feeling. You notice I say feeling instead of touch. That's because we're talking about kind of two related things here. Number one is, of course, the things you can feel, the textures around you. Those things are, of course, important. But the other way we're talking about feeling is feelings, emotions. Emotions live in the body. That's why we call them feelings. And there are certain sort of physiological responses that are pretty much universal, that everyone experiences, that can be, very vivid for the listener. You get scared, and the hair rises up on the back of your neck. You're embarrassed, your face goes hot. You're nervous, your stomach tightens up. These kinds of physiological responses, almost anyone can relate to them. They're specific, they're nuanced. You should always try to figure out exactly how emotion was registering in your body at the moment you're talking about. Try to be as specific as you can, but generally speaking, people are going to relate to how emotions live in your body, right? Now, the sixth sense is point of view. We don't usually think of that as a sense, but in that case, that's what we're going to use it in the context of storytelling. And what do I mean by point of view? I mean what's going on in your head. When you are telling a story, we, as the listener, are on a ride along in your brain. All right, you are in the controls and we are a passenger, and you've got to make the world look to us as it looked to you on the day that you experienced whatever it was, that you experienced the holdup in the grocery store or whatever other story you're telling. How you do that is by filling us in on what you were thinking, how you were responding to the information coming in at you. What were you thinking? What were you saying? How did what you were thinking differ from what you were saying? What was said to you? What were the conversations you had? The dialogue? And how did you think about what was said to you? How did you respond to it? How did you take it in? What made an impression? What did you remember? What are the debates you're having with yourself as you're trying to make a decision? What are the little arguments you're having in your own brain? What are the recriminations you're having because you did something wrong? How are you cheering yourself along when you think you did something great? All of these things keep us behind your eyeballs. You are our point of view, and when you give us this kind of information, we are in that point of view with you, and the story becomes a living thing. We are living that experience through your description using sensory information. Now, I have a very simple exercise that I think is a lot of fun. I find it very enjoyable, and my classes generally like it too, but it's a way of sort of getting yourself acclimatized to filling in your memories and the locations of the stories you're going to tell with this kind of sensory information. And what you do is you close your eyes and you think of an important place from your own personal history. And then, out loud, preferably into, say, the voice recorder on your telephone, describe that environment with as much detail as you possibly can. The one I always like to use as an example is my grandparents' motel office. My grandparents owned a sort of cheap roadside motel when I was a kid, and I stayed there on many summers. And the motel is one of my favorite environments from my childhood, especially the office. And so, when I'm doing this exercise with the class, I like to try to describe with as much sensory information as I can my grandparents' motel office. I'm going to do that now. The office was a very small room. It was like the size of a closet. And there was a door on one side, and that door led to my grandparents' actual house. They lived in the house, like sort of behind the office. And then on the other side, diagonal to that door, was a door that led outside to the gravel parking lot. People pulled up to check into the motel. It was wood-paneled walls, like this very, very dark, knotty wood panel. There were green curtains on the single window, sort of like was on the same wall as the door that led to the outside. Outside that, it looked out on the gravel parking lot was white stone. There was this green nubby carpet. It kind of had a little bit of a greasy feel because it's where people came in from the outside, and it sort of absorbed all of that highway, car dirt. And people would come, it was like dark green, so it wouldn't show the stains. It was really not great carpet. There was an old-fashioned 7-Up machine, this white 7-Up machine, it was like so old-fashioned that you actually, when you put a quarter in it, like the entire front piece opened up and you were on your honor to take just one 7-Up. And it had a little bottle opener on the side of it, so you would take up 7-Up and you'd, clank it into that bottle opener, and the bottle cap would drop into this tin cup. It would clank into this tin cup, and then that sort of like that fresh smell of citrus and carbonation would hit you in the face, and it was one of my favorite smells as a kid. And let's see, there was a Formica countertop that was this kind of very, odd sort of shade of pea green. It was about at my eye level. There was a ledger that sat on top of the countertop that had all these sort of like very thin, like Bible style pages, and it was where people signed in, like they signed their name and their license plate number on their car. And then behind that desk, there was a row of like sort of like small cubbies where my grandfather kept the keys for all the rooms, and he'd fish out these keys that were on these sort of little burgundy diamonds with the number printed on them. He'd give them the key, and you'd hear them like pull up outside, and you'd hear their feet crunch on the gravel as they came into the door, and then you'd hear them like when they left. There's a bell on the door that would ring when they came in and ring when they left. And you hear them walk out and drive off to the sort of long houses on the side where all the rooms were. And above the cubbies, directly behind the desk, there was a set of steer horns on a plaque. And these huge, like Texas steer horns. These sort of big, like tan and black things that hung over the room. They dominated the entire room. They were enormous. And hanging off one side of those was a pair of golden boxing gloves that my mom and her siblings had gotten my grandmother and grandfather for their 50th wedding anniversary as a gag gift. And then, next to the window where the green curtains where you could see the parking lot outside, next to that window there was a light switch panel set into the wall, had two switches on it. One switch lit up the entire, the whole big neon sign that had the name of the motel on it outside. And then one switch just worked the no in the no vacancy. Right? So you'd turn on the whole sign, and then the no would be on if the motel was full up, you'd turn on the no, so it was no vacancy. And if you had rooms to let, you'd turn that switch off, so it was just only vacancy would be lit up in great big pink neon. And my favorite thing to do was to work that sign. My grandfather let me work that sign. Let me see if I'm missing anything. I don't think so. I think that is the office at my grandparents' cheap motel. It is one of the fondest environments of my childhood. I loved hearing the cars pull up outside. I loved looking out that window and looking at the parking, at the license plates and where the states, what states they'd come from and the make of cars. Seeing people drag in off the road and seeing them drive out again at the end of after they checked out, and wondering where they were off to, taking off on the highway. It was a formative place for me as a kid. Watching people come and go like that and thinking about the great big wide world out there that was coming to us and then leaving again. So anyway, that is how you do this basic exercise. You find a place from your childhood, some place that was important to you, not from your childhood, from any point in your life, some place that was important to you, and you just describe it as much as you can. Just try to fill in as many colors, as many scents as you can, like the splash of the lemon, lime, and carbonation in my face when I'd open a 7-Up, the green of the carpet, the green of the Formica counter, the black and tan, looming steer horns, the sound of the cars on the gravel outside, all of those kinds of sensory details. You're just practicing, getting yourself used to sort of digging into your memory, seeing something, dragging out those details, and making it vivid. All right? It's an important part of storytelling, and it's also fun to do. You'll be amazed if you close your eyes and really think about the places you've been, the places that have been important to you. You'll be amazed at the kind of things you remember. All right, that is my little lesson, and I hope you guys enjoyed it, and I hope you will sign up for Storytelling Level 1, and that I will see you there very, very soon. Thanks a lot.
Thank you, Brad Lawrence. That completes our Education Sampler Hour for teens and adults, and now we will begin our mini IAC Education Sampler for kids. Adults, we hope you will join back up with us later this afternoon for today's fabulous music and dance performances. Now, if you are a kid or a kid at heart, over the next half hour you will learn a little bit about Irish step dance, the Irish language, and traditional songs. First up, we have an introduction to step dance for kids with Niall O'Leary. Niall is a former All-Ireland and World Champion dancer from Dublin, Ireland. His teachers included Kevin Massey, proclaimed by Michael Flatley to be the greatest ever Irish dancer, and Rory O'Connor, the first man to do Irish dancing on radio. The Niall O'Leary School of Irish Dance has been building the Irish dance community and training champions since 1995. And currently has locations in New York City, Miami, and Mexico. Based in New York City for more than 20 years, O'Leary performs regularly as a solo artist in duets with Dara Carr, with Mick Maloney's Greenfields of America, and with his professional company, the Niall O'Leary Irish Dance Troupe. O'Leary has been honored by Irish America magazine as one of the top 100 Irish Americans of the year, and by the Irish Echo as a community champion. He is also the artistic director of Irish Art Center's annual NYC Dance Festival and our resident children's dance instructor. Please enjoy step dancing with Niall O'Leary.
Hi everyone, I'm Niall O'Leary and I'm delighted to welcome you to this special Irish Dance Masterclass on Irish Art Centre Open Day. Today we're going to do an easy step that contains a couple of cool moves that usually only advanced dancers do. But today's step is suitable for anyone of any age to try Irish dance. So have fun. Okay, for today's Irish Dance Masterclass, suitable for everyone, we're going to start off with some stretches. The first one is where you're stretching the back of your leg. Your heels on the floor and your toes are as far as they can be away from the floor. So stretching the right leg first, and now we're going to switch and stretch the left leg. So your toes, you're pulling them kind of back. You're flexing your foot and you want to stretch the back of your leg. That's it. Now my second favourite stretch is where you take your right foot and you pull it up to the left side and you pull it up as high as you can up behind you. So the right foot is up at the left side. This is a good Irish dancing stretch to do. Now let's do the other one where you pull up the left foot up to the right side. Great, you should feel a stretch in the front of your leg. Now, before we do the actual dance that we're going to do today, we're going to do some terms. So the first thing is just to start moving, and this is called steps. When you go from one foot to the other, it's called a step, right? Then you've got a move called a hop. When you land on the same foot, you push off from one foot and land on the same foot. That's a hop. Now let's hop on the other leg, just to be equal. Now we're going to do a leap, where you push off one foot and land on the other foot. Leap. So a leap is a little bit like running. Then we've got a jump, where you push off both feet and land on both feet. And you can switch feet for a jump as well. Now, in today's step, we're going to be doing 2 cool new moves. But first, I have a couple of other moves I want to show you. One is called a point. A point is where you point your toes in front. So now if I'm in the mirror, you can see how I'm like this. My foot is turned out and I'm pointing my toes. So, when you're doing Irish dancing, you want to turn out your feet like this. Imagine that you're a penguin. Your right foot is pointing this way and your left foot is pointing this way. Then you want to bring the right foot in front. You always start with the right foot in front, so your feet are crossed. And then the third one, turn out, crossing, is you want to be up on your toes. So, we're going to mention those again as we go along. But let's start off now doing our actual dance step. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to do a hop on the back foot. And we're going to bring the right foot up in front. Hop, 2, 3, right? So we're doing 2 steps. We're calling the hop 1 because we're landing on the beat. Hop, 2, 3. So the hop is 1 and then 2 steps for 2, 3. Hop, 2, 3. Now the first of our cool new moves. Can anyone guess what it is? Watch again. Point on 5, 6, up on 7, ready, steady, go. Hop, 2, 3. Our cool move is actually not a move at all. It's a pause. So after we do 2, 3, 2, 3, we're going to pause for 2 counts. So if you want, you can clap. You can go hop, 2, 3, like that, right? So that's what we're going to do. So let's try it from the top. Point on 5, 6, up on 7, ready, steady, go. Hop, 2, 3, that's it. So it's almost like 4, 5, but we're not moving after 3. We're pausing on your toes. So let's try it once more. 1, 2, 3, 4, point on 5, 6, up on 7, ready, steady, go. Hop, 2, 3. Then the next move is step point. Step point. So for that, hop, 2, 3. You're pausing with both feet on the floor. Then you do a step with the right foot. Step point. And you're pointing the left foot in front. So, just to review, we said you start with the right foot in front. But then, after you do the pause, hop, 2, 3, pause, pause, right step, left point. So now you have your left foot in front. Then we're going to pause for 1 count. So you can do 1 clap. So let's try it to there. 5, 6, 7, go. Hop, 2, 3, step point. Now our next cool move is an actual move. It's called a sweep. So you're going to sweep your foot around and you're going to land with a step at the back. So this is like, let's say if you were on the beach and you wanted to draw a circle with your toes in the sand. So you sweep your foot around, your weight isn't really on your foot, but you're just barely touching the floor. So you want to start off, I'll show you in the mirror, you want to start off with your left foot in front and you're going to do the point, 1 clap and then sweep it around and land it behind. So let's try it from the top. Point on 5, 6, up on 7, ready, steady, go. Hop, 2, 3, step, point, sweep, step. Right, great. Let's try that again. Point on 5, 6, up on 7, ready, steady, go. Hop, 2, 3, step, point, sweep, step. Great. So that's the first part of the step. We're going to do it once more without the music, and then we're going to put on some music. So you go 1, 2, 3, 4, point on 5, 6, up on 7, go. Hop, 2, 3, step, point, sweep, step. Very good. For the music for today's class, we're going to be using this instrument here. It's called a vertical keyboard. Now, Irish dance is done vertically, so why indeed would you not play the music on an instrument that's also played vertically? Right, it's time to dance our new step to music. Here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4, point on 5, 6, up on 7, ready, steady, go. Great, 5, again, 6, 7, ready, steady, go. Alright, cool. Now this music is known as a reel. The two most popular types of music for dancing to in Ireland are the reel and the jig. Not just in Ireland, in fact, in Irish dance all over the world. Irish dance now is done by everyone all over the world. So, we are going to do the next part of the step. It's actually like the beginning. Watch. Hop, 2, 3, and point, sweep, step. Hop, 2, 3, and point, sweep, step. Hop, 2, 3, and point. Wow, do you see what I did there? I did the same thing twice, and then the third time I just did hop, 2, 3, step, point, and that was the end, right? So we've used something called repetition to make the step actually the length of a step. So what we did was we did hop, 2, 3, step, point, sweep, step. Hop, 2, 3, step, point, sweep, step. Hop, 2, 3, step, point. So that's it. But we're not done because we want to do it to music. So let's try it slowly first one more time before we try it to music. So I'm going to put in the 2 claps before the step point, and I'm going to put in the 1 clap before the sweep. But you don't have to do the claps because the claps wouldn't really be part of dancing the step because you'd normally dance with your arms straight by your sides. But let's try it. 1, 2, 3, 4, point on 5, 6, up on 7, ready, steady, go. Hop, 2, 3. Great. So let's try to the music. Here we go. 2, 3, 4, point on 5, 6, up on 7, ready, steady, go. Hop, 2, 3, step, point, sweep, step, hop, 2, 3, step, point, sweep, step, hop, 2, 3, step, point. Alright, cool. Let's do it with the claps again. Point on 5, 6, up on 7, ready, steady, go. Hop, 2, 3. Alright, great. Now, if you were doing an Irish dance, after you've done that much, can anyone guess what's next? I'm going to give you a clue. We started with the right foot in front, and we were dancing with the right foot in front, and we switched, and then we switched again, and then we did a switch again, and then we finished off with the left foot in front. What do you think is next? Yes, it's the left foot. Are we going to do the left foot today? No, we're not. We're only going to do the right foot. But if you want to try the left foot yourselves, we're going to let the music keep going, right? But today the plan is just to do the right foot. So let's do it 2 more times. Here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4, point on 5, 6, up on 7, ready, steady, go. Here we go again. 1, 2, last time. 3, 4, point on 5, 6, up on 7, ready, steady, go. I hope you enjoyed today's class. It was fun doing some dancing. It's always great exercise. And for more information on Irish dance, check out irishartscentre.org and niallo'leary.com, where you can find all kinds of information on Irish dance classes and performances.
Thank you, Niall O'Leary. Now back again for some more Irish language learning, but this time for kids, native Irish speaker and award-winning creative producer, Siobhán Kavanagh.
Díomh is Mrs. Siobhán. Hello, my name is Siobhán and I am going to teach you some Irish today, some Irish Gaelic. So first of all, I'm going to teach you how to say my name is. So, is Misha Siobhán. Is Misha Siobhán. That means my name is Siobhán. So you put your name in there. Try it. Is Misha. I also want to teach you how to say hello and how are you. So to say hello, you say dia rit, dia rit, dia rit. And to respond back, you say dia is muirit, dia is muirit. So that's like saying hello and someone saying hello back, but it's not the same word. So dia rit, and you respond dia is muirit. Dia rit, dia is muirit. Brilliant. And how to say how are you? We say conas atá tú, conas atá tú, conas atá tú. How are you? And to respond back, if you want to say I'm good, you say tá mé go maith, tá mé go maith, tá mé go maith. Tá mé, I am, go maith, good. Tá mé go maith. Now, I'd like to teach you a little nursery rhyme in Irish Gaelic. So we're going to start off. So the first 2 things are 2 numbers, a hain, a do, a hain, a do. So that's 1, 2, a hain, a do. And the next line is muck agus bo, muck agus bo. Muck is a pig, agus is and bo is cow. So a hain, a do, muck agus bo. 1, 2, a pig and a cow. But it rhymes in Gaelic. A hain, a do, muck agus bo. A hain, a do, muck agus bo. Let's all do it together. A hain, a do, muck agus bo. And the next part is a chi, a cahar. A chi, a cahar. A chi, a cahar. A chi, a cahar. Broga lahar. A chi, a cahar, broga lahar. So a chi is the number 3 and a cahar is the number 4. A chi, a cahar. And broga lahar means leather shoes. So broga is shoes and lahar is leather. Okay, so let's try that part. A chi, a cahar, broga lahar. A chi, a cahar, Broga Lahar. Okay, so let's try it all together now. A héan, a dó, muck agus bó. A chi, a cahar, broga lahar. One more time. A héan, a dó, muck agus bó. A chi, a cahar, broga lahar. Brilliant, brilliant. Anava is what we'd say in Irish. The next part is a cúig, a sé. A cúig, a sé. Cúig is the number 5 and sé or a sé is the number 6. So a cúig, a sé means 5, 6. A cúig, a sé, cupán té. A cúig, a sé, cupán té. 5, 6 and cupán té means a cup of tea. A cup of tea. A cúig, a sé, cupán té. A cúig, a sé, cupán té. And the next part is a seacht, a hocht. A seacht, a hocht. A seacht is 7 and a hocht is 8. A seacht, a hocht. Sean van vocht. A seacht, a hocht. Sean van vocht. 7, 8, an old poor woman. A seacht, a hocht. Sean van vocht. 7, 8, an old poor woman. So let's try that part together. A cúig, a sé, cupán té. A seacht, a hocht, Sean van vocht. A cúig, a sé, cupán té. A seacht, a hocht, Sean van vocht. And let's try it from the start. A héan, a dó, muck agus bó. A chi, a cahar, broga lahar. A cúig, a sé, cupán té. A seacht, a hocht, Sean van vocht. And then we have 2 more lines. A naoi, a de. A naoi, a de. A naoi, a de means a naoi is the number 9 and a de is the number 10. A naoi, a de. A naoi, a de. Cíiste te. Cíiste te. Cíiste is a cake and te is hot, so it's a hot cake. So a naoi, a de, cíiste te. A naoi, a de, cíiste te. So let's see if we can do all of it together. A héan, a dó, muck agus bó. A chi, a cahar, broga lahar. A cúig, a sé, cupán té. A seacht, a hocht, Sean van vocht. A naoi, a de, cíiste te. Very good, let's try it one more time. A héan, a dó, muck agus bó. A chi, a cahar, broga lahar. A cúig, a sé, cupán té. A seacht, a hocht, Sean van vocht. A naoi, a de, cíiste te. Well done, you've learnt a nursery rhyme in Irish. Anava, very, very good. And so I just want to finish with a few more phrases. So how to say thank you in Irish Gaelic is gur raibh maith agat. Gur raibh maith agat. Let's try it all together. Gur raibh maith agat. Gur raibh maith agat. Well done, very good. And if you want to say I like something, is maith liom. Is maith liom. So do you like Irish dancing? If you like Irish dancing, you say, is maith liom rinke gaelach. Is maith liom rinke gaelach. Which means I like Irish dancing. Is maith liom rinke gaelach. And maybe if you like traditional Irish music, are you playing the tin whistle or are you playing the accordion? You can say, is maith liom, I like, is maith liom ceol gaelach. I like Irish traditional music. Is máilm ceol Gaelach. Is máilm ceol Gaelach. So we have I like traditional Irish dancing. Is máilm rinke Gaelach. Is máilm rinke Gaelach, or traditional Irish music. Is máilm ceol Gaelach. Is máilm ceol Gaelach. And now to say goodbye, you say slán. Slán for goodbye. So everyone.
Thank you, Siobhán Kavanagh. Next up, Johnny Cuomo will be teaching us some traditional songs. Johnny Cuomo is a musician, storyteller, naturalist, teacher, and author based in New York. Johnny has been sharing folktales with children and adults of all ages in schools, libraries, museums, hospitals, nature centers, and other venues for over 20 years. In addition to writing and recording his own folk music, he has also recorded original children's songs and stories. His latest project, a full-color children's story called Katie Didn't, was released by Peter Popper Press in the fall of 2020. Please welcome Johnny Cuomo.
Hello everyone, happy St. Patrick's Day. I'm Johnny, and I'm going to do 2 songs with you today. One of the songs is a song called The Waves Down in the Ocean. There are a lot of varieties of this song. You may have heard somebody sing this in different ways. In fact, there's a famous song called The Rattlin' Bog that is sung very similar to this song, except it's about a bog and a tree and birds and things. This song is going to take place in the ocean. So there's a chorus part, and what you're going to have to do is help me sing the chorus at home. So the part that you're going to sing is going to sound like this. Oh, roll the salty waves, waves down in the ocean, oh. Oh, roll the salty waves, waves down in the ocean, oh. Now we'll try it again, and then I'll show you a couple little hand movements, and then we can try to put some of the characters into this song, okay? Oh, roll the salty waves, waves down in the ocean, oh. Oh, roll the salty waves, waves down in the ocean, oh. Now, being that this song is about the salty waves in the ocean, all of the animals in this song are going to be ocean creatures. So, we're going to be talking about the waves, and when we talk about the waves, we do a motion like this. There's going to be a whale in our song, and we need to shoot water out of our little spout. There will be a shark at some point, so we can put a shark's fin. There will be a pinching crab, so you can pinch with your little crab claw. There might be a dolphin leaping out of the water, and perhaps a swimming turtle. So as I sing the song, I'll show you the hand movements, but we always come back to the salty waves and sing the same chorus. The song starts very small and gets bigger and bigger and bigger, because we're going to keep adding different animals. So I hope you can try to sing it with me at home. Here goes The Waves Down in the Ocean. Oh, roll the salty waves, waves down in the ocean, oh. Oh, roll the salty waves, waves down in the ocean, oh. And in those waves there was a whale, a rare whale, a salty whale. And the whale and the waves down in the ocean, oh. Oh, roll the salty waves, waves down in the ocean, oh. Oh, roll the salty waves, waves down in the ocean, oh. And in those waves there was a shark, a rare shark, a salty shark. The shark and the whale and the waves down in the ocean, oh. Oh, roll the salty waves down in the ocean, oh. Oh, roll the salty waves down in the ocean, oh. Well, in those waves there was a crab, a rare crab, a pinching crab. The crab and the shark and the whale and the waves down in the ocean, oh. Oh, roll the salty waves down in the ocean, oh. Oh, roll the salty waves down in the ocean, oh. And in those waves there was a dolphin, a rare dolphin, a salty dolphin. The dolphin and the crab the crab and the shark and the whale and the waves down in the ocean. Oh, oh, roll the salty waves down in the ocean. Oh, oh, roll the salty waves down in the ocean. Oh. And in those waves there was a turtle, a rare turtle, a salty turtle, the turtle and the dolphin and the crab and the shark and the whale and the waves down in the ocean. Oh, oh, roll the salty waves down in the ocean. Oh, oh, roll the salty waves down in the ocean. Oh. Now try it with me once more at home so I know you can practice it when I'm not with you. Oh, roll the salty waves down in the ocean. Oh, oh, roll the salty waves down in the ocean. Oh. All right, very good. I hope you were able to sing that with me. Now, if you're doing that at home with your family, you can add any ocean creatures you want into that song. You can make it even longer than mine, or if you're a young child, you can make it even shorter than mine. But however you want to make it, have fun, and you can sing it at home with your family, okay? Now, there's a beautiful song that I like to sing, and this song is done in parts of Ireland, England, and Scotland, and I've heard a lot of different versions of it. It's called The Leatherwing Bat. When I was a child, I heard this song, and I used to sing it, and now as a grown-up, I still love singing it. Now, there is a sing-along part that I like to do with everybody, but I'm going to take a little drink of water first before I show you how to sing this part. If you need a sip of water at home, you can get a drink too. And there's a silly part in this song that says, let me get the right key for you here. It says, howdy dowdy diddle day, howdy dowdy diddle day, howdy dowdy diddle day, hey lily lily low. Now that's the sing-along part. Every time I come to that, everybody joins in. It's called the chorus or the sing-along. And I'll play it with the guitar once more for you so you can get the hang of it. And then I will sing all the parts of the song. And every time we reach that part, you join me at home and we'll have a nice loud chorus together, okay? Howdy dowdy diddle day, howdy dowdy diddle day, howdy dowdy diddle day. Hey lily lily low. Okay, so I'll start at the beginning. There's lots of cool animals in this song. There's a bat and a bunch of interesting birds. We'll take it from the top. Howdy dowdy diddle day, howdy dowdy diddle day, howdy dowdy diddle day. Hey lily lily low. Hi, said the little leatherwing bat, tell to you the reason that I fly by night is because I lost my heart's delight. Howdy dowdy diddle day, howdy dowdy diddle day, howdy dowdy diddle day. Hey lily lily low. I said the blackbird sitting on a chair, one side cornered a lady fair. She turned fickle and turned her back, and ever since then I dressed in black. Howdy dowdy diddle day, howdy dowdy diddle day, howdy dowdy diddle day. Hey lily lily low. I said the woodpecker sitting on a fence, one side cornered a handsome wench. She got scared and from me fled, and ever since then her head's been red. Howdy dowdy diddle day, howdy dowdy diddle day, howdy dowdy diddle day. Hey Hey, lily, lily, low. Hi, said the little turtle dove, tell you how to win her love. Caught her night and caught her day. Never give it time to say oh nay. Howdy dowdy diddlum day. Howdy dowdy diddlum day. Howdy dowdy diddlum day. Hey, lily, lily, low. Hi, said the little leather wingback, tell to you the reason that I fly by night is because I lost my heart's delight. Howdy dowdy diddlum day. Howdy dowdy diddlum day. Howdy dowdy diddlum day. Hey, lily, lily, low. Alright, everybody try one more time. Howdy dowdy diddlum day. Howdy dowdy diddlum day. Howdy dowdy diddlum day. Hey, lily, lily, hey, lily, lily, low. Well, I hope you had fun singing with me today. Have a wonderful St. Patrick's Day. Maybe I'll see you next year with some new songs. Learn the ones I gave you in the meantime. Be happy and safe. Happy St. Patrick's Day.
Thank you, Johnny Cuomo. Next up, I am so excited to present to you Irish Art Centre's Spring 2021 Community Art Challenge, Page to Stage, with Galway's Branar Téatar do Pháistí. Drawing inspiration from their production of Oliver Jeffers' How to Catch a Star, Branar is going to show you how to bring your own favorite storybook to the stage. Then, using your newfound knowledge and skills, Irish Art Centre challenges you to make, record, and send us your production. We will compile all submissions into a virtual tapestry of puppetry as part of our visual arts exhibition this spring. More about our Community Art Challenge can be found in the chat section of our live stream today and on our website at irishartcenter.org. Branar Téatar do Pháistí is one of the leading theatre companies making work for children in Ireland, creating beautiful, innovative, high-quality work that inspires children and their families. They tour work to venues and festivals locally, nationally, and internationally, and support artists to make work for young audiences through tailored programs of resource sharing and tiny show creation. Please enjoy Branar Téatar do Pháistí's Page to Stage.
Hi everyone, and welcome. Díomh agus Fáilte, as we say in Ireland. My name is Sorcha and I'm a stage manager, and I work for Branar Téatar do Pháistí, which means Branar Theatre for Children. One of the shows that I work on with Branar is an adaptation of a very famous storybook that I'm sure you guys all know and love, How to Catch a Star by Oliver Jeffers, which Branar made into a show, and it's been touring for the last couple of years. I really love working on this show. I'm really, really fond of it, and I feel like I know the story inside out, so I'm really excited to be here today to show you guys how I made a paper theatre out of a cereal box, and I'll show you guys how to do that as well. And then how I turned How to Catch a Star into a little puppet show using the cereal box. So in this video, I'll show you how to make your very own paper theatre out of a cereal box, and then how you can take a story or a book of your choice and turn it into a little show that you can kind of play out yourself in a cereal box. Of course, you're going to need a cereal box, so grab your box now. I'm going to close the top. The first thing we need to do is we need to label each of the sides, because we're going to take this box apart and flatten it out. And when we do that, it might get a bit confusing or hard to remember which bit was which. So it's really great to do this. Take your Sharpie or your permanent marker or just a normal pen. You're looking for where in the box on one of these sides So on one of these sides, where is the seam? Where is the cardboard glued together? Because this is the top of your, this will be the top of your theatre, because it'll actually be cut out. So if you write top, so I've written top. So if that's the top, this is the bottom. So write bottom on it. And now put the bottom like this, and you choose which of these sides is going to be the front and which is the back. And it doesn't really make a difference which one. The most important thing is that top is the side where the cardboard meets and has been glued together. So I'm going to make this one the front. Wrote front and back. And these bits here, this is the side of your paper theatre, which in the theatre world we call the sides of the stage the wings. And the wings are where things are brought in and out, that maybe the actors will come in from the wings. And this is where you're going to be bringing in your little puppets. So if you want to write wings here and here on either side, because you'll be taking, these flaps will be separated once you take the box apart. So on both sides, write wings. So now I've labelled every bit of my paper theatre, which is, you'll see, is going to be really, really useful. To show you, to give you a rough idea of how this is going to work, I'll show you a really rough sample I made, not a finished product. Your paper theatre is going to look a lot more beautiful than this when you're done. This is a very rough example. So you can see here the top, so the top of this, that's the top cut out here, because this is where you'll be bringing in backdrops. And then you can see here, this is what I mean by the wings. So the wings, you can see, are actually have a section cut out of them as well, because you'll need access. And then your back here. So this is what it will look like once you've brought it all back together again and stuck it back together. And now I'm going to take it apart and flatten it out. Do this as carefully as possible so you don't rip the cardboard, and also some of the bits that you'll cut off, you'll use again at other points. So it's great to just be as careful as possible and keep any cardboard that you cut off. I'll show you which bits to cut off anyway. So first I'm gonna open this bit again. And then I'm going to take this apart. If you have trouble with this, maybe ask a grown-up. And yep. And then, so this part here, the part that you labeled top, where it's stuck together here. This is the trickiest bit, and this is the part that just take your time. 'Cause I find that if you use your finger, stuff it. Okay, so now I've got my cereal box all flattened out. Brilliant. So once you've flattened out your box, it's time to do some more labeling. Woohoo! Because this is the part, it's just great to label. It's great to label every piece of this, just in case, just to make sure you know exactly what's happening. So all you have to do is look at whatever you've written on this side. That says front, cool. I'm gonna write front here. So this is the bottom. which is important because once you put this all back together again, you've cut the top off. So it's really great that the front and the back are connected really well to the bottom, which gives it a great structure. So then I have my back, top, wings, wings, First thing we're going to do now that we've got everything labeled is we're going to cut whatever we don't need off. We don't need the top, and we don't need these little guys here, and we don't need, I'm assuming every box will have this little guy, this tiny little. I've cut these bits off. I'm not going to throw them away because, well, I might throw this one away because it's way too thin and probably not very handy. But these bits, this bit especially, very important to keep. We'll be using that for the backdrops. So make sure you put that aside in a safe place. These could come in handy as well when you're making your characters. So definitely keep any cardboard you cut off, keep it to one side and you'll be able to use it for something else. Now that I've cut off what I don't need, we're going to do something a little bit complicated, but it really will pay off. We need to measure, we will need to cut off a bit of the wings because that's where we need access to bring puppets in. But we still want to keep the top section of the wings that is connected to the top, because when we put this all back together again, we need some way of sticking it together again, if you know what I mean. So I'll use this as an example. When we see, these are the wings. This is the section that we kept because we could, when we folded it back up, we can stick these together. This is the part that's holding it all together. So it is very important that we have that. Otherwise, if there's nothing holding this together, it would just go bleh. We need to measure how much we want to keep of the wings. The way to do that is you need your ruler and a pencil or a pen. It doesn't really matter. So we'll be measuring from these points here, the top points. Measure how long these are. So it's either 7.5 inches or, let's see, 7.5 inches or 19 centimeters. I'm going to try and do a third. It's going to be some hard maths. So let's say a third, we'll say a third of 18 is 6. So I'll do 6 centimeters. So counting 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 from this side. Actually, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I'm going to measure that. And then I'm going to do the very same on the other side. I actually do 6.5. 6.5 and 6.5. And then you just, using that line here, the line of the cereal box, I'm just going to draw a straight line, and the same here, straight line there. So you'll do the exact same thing so here, do the exact same thing on these wings as well. So measuring 6.5 here. You're going to keep that 1/3 of the wings and you're going to cut the other bit off. So a big X on these guys, meaning okay to cut. We've measured 1/3 of the wings and we're going to cut this bit out. remember you're cutting the bigger section off, and you want to keep that little section, like you want to keep this section here, the little section. Very important. That's the bit that connects it all. Again, make sure to keep all the offcuts in the same place that you kept the other ones. So now this is what it looks like. This is what you have. And just to show you how it will attach and turn into the theatre. We haven't cut out the viewfinder yet, but you can see once you've cut out the viewfinder and put it back together, you've got your wings and your top and the viewfinder. Now that we have all the bits that we need cut out, and we have our structure for the theatre, there are some things that we can do while it's still flat that are a lot easier to do before we put it back together again, which is decide what we want on the back of the stage, and also to cover the front with some paper, and then you can decorate it. Yeah, that would be difficult to do if you had put it back together. So let's do that now. For my version of How to Catch a Star, I have picked 3 scenes or backdrops to use, and because you're gonna have one slot for backdrops, I kind of thought we may as well use the back of the stage as a backdrop. Normally the back of the stage would be black, or some dark color. I'm actually just going to draw a backdrop straight on the back of our cereal box. And because it's How to Catch a Star, I'm going to do a night sky, because that'll feature a lot. And then the rest of the inside, paint or colour it black, because then it won't be distracting for people if they kind of see a little bit of the inside of the theatre. This might be a really good time for you guys to think about what story you want to tell with your paper theatre, what book you're going to use, or what fairy tale or story or myth or legend. I'll show you how I chose the 3 backdrops I'm going to do. I looked through the book and I tried to figure out what are the most important moments in the story, and I picked 3 because we're going to try and make this paper theatre out of one cardboard box. I went through the story and I decided that night sky is a very important backdrop scene, so that's a definite. He wanders around, there's the sea, there's the park, he does a lot of waiting in the park. So really there's kind of 3 main backdrops: the night sky, the park, I think I'm going to do one, and then the sea. I might choose this one because it has the pier in the backdrop and the sea in the foreground. So those are the 3 I'm going to choose, and I'm going to do the night sky on the back of this. You guys can have a think and decide which backdrop you want to paint on the back of your theatre. Another thing you could do, I'm not going to do this, but you could do this, is draw whatever backdrop you want to put on this on a sheet of paper, and then all you have to do is glue it. I'm going to paint directly onto my backdrop. So here is one that I painted earlier. I'm going to draw some silver stars on this right now. Okay, I have a lovely night sky. As you can see here, lots of lovely shiny stars. If you need to leave that to dry a little bit, do. So I'm happy with my backdrop on the back of the set. Now I'm going to cut the viewfinder, which is this bit, this square here, which the audience will be watching the show through. This part is a little bit tricky in terms of making a little cut and using the scissors. So please do make sure you have a grown-up helping you with this, or ask a grown-up to do the first bit that I'll show you. So to measure your viewfinder, this will be the front. So we'll be going from the bottom up and leaving this bit here. I'm going to use my ruler again and a pencil. Again, this will be different depending on what size cereal box you guys have. So it's up to you what size you want your viewfinder. This box, this little prototype is a bit bigger than the one I'm working on at the moment. So I decided, how many inches did I do? I did 2 and a bit inches here and 1.5 inches on the side. This is something you can just decide by eye. I will do, let's see, I might do the same. I'm gonna do 1.5 inches. And then how many, what should I do? I think I'll do 1.5 again, because this is a smaller box, so I don't want to lose. So now that I've measured my viewfinder, you might not be able to see it there. This is the bit we're cutting out. And you can see that it's going to be tricky to get into it because there's no way to get to it. So we need to make a little cut here. I'm going to make a little cut maybe with a knife, a cutting knife, or a scissors. Please make sure you ask a grown-up to do this for you. This is the trickiest bit of this whole thing. Actually, first I'm going to fill the rest of the backdrop with stars, just to make sure when my viewfinder is cut out that there are enough stars in the background, because these top ones will be blocked by the viewfinder, by the frame of the theatre. Just add a couple more. When you're cutting the viewfinder out, try and make sure to save as much of the cardboard as you can, because that cardboard is going to come in very handy to make the frames. I'm going to make a little hole here and trying as best as I can not to bend the cardboard. I'm going to just use a pen, a pen or a sharp pencil. I did it a little too low here, because if I want to make the hole bigger, I'm going to move into the bottom. So if you maybe make the hole a little bit higher. But this should be enough for me to get in with my scissors and make a couple little cuts. And I'll make a little cut here just so I can bend this. And now I have a good entry into this. This is definitely the trickiest bit, and just remember, take your time and make sure that you have a grown-up to help you with this. Cut the viewfinder out. Now, so I have my viewfinder cut out, and I have this piece of cardboard saved, which will be coming very handy, and you can put this over with the other bit of cuttings that you have saved. And yeah, so this is what it looks like now. That's the viewfinder. So we have the backdrop, whatever you've decided to put on this, all the other little bits painted some kind of dark color, and then we have our viewfinder cut out. We're going to flip it over, and we're going to put some paper, stick some paper onto the front of the theatre. Put some white paper onto it, and then I'm going to do a little bit of drawing and decorate it to look like a theatre. I'm going to use a sheet of A3 paper like this, and I'm going to trace the shape of the theatre out of this and cut it out so it'll fit it perfectly. You don't have to do this if you don't have a bit of paper that's big enough. You could maybe cut out a bit that just fits this and stick that, cut out a bit that fits this and stick it down and cut about. You can do it in sections basically. I'm just going to do, I can show you how to do it this way if you have a piece of paper big enough. So you can just trace the outside. I have my little piece of white paper traced to the front of the theatre, and I'm going to cut that out. I'm going to cut that out now and use some Pritt stick glue or a glue stick. We use, I think, a Pritt stick here. You might have a different type of glue. It's that kind of, it's not very wet. It's not a very wet glue because that would take too much time to dry. So I'll cut this out. So now that I have my piece of paper cut out, you can see that it fits pretty well. I'm going to there we go. I have the front of my theatre is white now, so I can decorate that as I want. You may be wondering about the wings. You could stick some paper onto them now if you wanted. Just the same. Trace out the shapes with your scrap paper. And if you're going to cover the wings, remember that you'll need to cover all four because they're going to come back together. So trace all four. And now I'll cut these out and we can stick them. So now that I've got these bits cut out for the wings, I can stick them on. So now that I've stuck the paper onto the front and the wings, just for a second I'll show you what this will look like when you've got it together. So you can see there, so when it's all stuck together, that's there. Now there's a little bit of shading there, but you'll be able to sort that out with a little bit of lighting when you're doing your wee show, like a table lamp or something. So now that I've got this covered, I'm going to draw a little theatre design and colour it in, and by all means join me. There's loads of ways you could decorate this. You can have fun with it. You could stick real ribbons onto it if you wanted, or you could use sequins or glitter, or this is your theatre, so you can make it look however you want it to look. So I'm gonna make it look a little more traditional, so I'll do that now. Now that I've drawn my design, I'm just gonna colour it in. So I've finished drawing and colouring in the front of my theatre, and hopefully you guys will have as well. And now that we've done that, one thing to remember is whatever colour that you've coloured the wings here, make sure you colour these wings the same colour, because we'll be putting this back together and they'll need to be the same colour because they attach to each other. And now that we have the theatre drawn and coloured, and or whatever backdrop that you picked, we can attach it back together. For this, you'll need some of the scrap bits that you saved from the last time from things that you cut out. And the first thing you'll need some tape, some masking tape, because the first thing we're going to do is tape it back together, but then we're going to reinforce the wings with a bit of extra cardboard to give them a bit more structure. So if you want, bend it like this and just make sure it's folded like this. So to put this back together again, you need to close it up as if you were making the cereal box again. So these guys are gonna go together and these guys as well. So I'm gonna put a bit of tape on the inside. We can paint this up again or use a marker or something. That's why I recommend masking tape, because you can paint on masking tape or colour on masking tape, whereas sellotape can be a bit shiny and doesn't take paint or marker as well. So masking tape is really great to use. So now we've got it kind of roughly stuck together. I know you'll see that the wings are kind of popping out here. We can use a bit of Pritt stick here to glue it to the other side. So we'll do that. Just wherever it's bending, put a little bit of glue and stick it back. But we're also going to be reinforcing these with a bit of cardboard from the inside. So I'm just going to stick this little bit that's sticking out here with glue as well. But it's great to have the tape to keep it in place. That's what the tape is for. So that you don't have to, it would just be harder, wouldn't it? Here we go. And you can see how now that they're back together, they need to be the same colour. And that all kind of matches. Now, so you can see the theatre is coming together, looking very snazzy. I'm just going to show you how to reinforce. Going to kind of measure this little scrap bit that I have kind of roughly, and I'll cut that out. So, and then I'm just going to put a load of glue on the back of this and stick it to the inside here, just to give it a bit structure. Actually, I'm really happy with this box. It's sitting really nicely and it's got a good bit of structure, but no harm in making it that little bit stronger. And you can let that dry for a little bit. I'm just going to do the second one the same way. So these are mega reinforced, and what I will do later, and what you can do later at the very end, is go back over that cardboard with a bit of paint. That is a good thing to note. When you're sticking your extra cardboard, make sure you stick it so that the inside of the cereal box is facing out, because that always takes paint a lot better. Okay, so now that we have our theatre put back together, I'm going to show you how to make the backdrops, the backdrop frames for your scenes. I'll just take my prototype and show you quickly what that is. You'll see here's a cardboard frame, and then the backdrop is a piece of paper that's stuck to the back. What I might do with this one is I'm going to stick the backdrop to the front. You can do either way. What I would recommend, if you decide to do it this way, where you stick the backdrop on the back of the frame, you'll probably need to paint the frame the same colour as the inside of your theatre. But just to make the most of the size of the box that I have, I'm going to put the backdrops on the front of the frames. And this is how they'll work. This prototype is a little wobbly, your one will be a lot smoother. So you'll pop the backdrop in here and it'll slot into some wee slots that I've made on either side. So you can see there that it goes in, and then you can take it out again and put another backdrop in. What you'll need is the piece of cardboard that you saved from the top of the box, and you'll have top written on both sides. This is perfect because the top of the frame needs to be the width of the box. You need to cut it to the width of whatever width you chose to make the top of the theatre itself. You'll need to make the frame of the backdrops that same width. I'm going to use this piece of cardboard and cut 2 tops of my frames. Make sure your cardboard is flat so that your backdrop can stick to it. So here, let's measure 1.5, which is the width of my, oh sorry, that's centimeters. Yeah, 1.5 inches. So now that I have those measured, I will cut them. So now that I have the tops of my frames, I'm going to measure the legs, which I'm using this spare bit of cardboard that we cut out from the front of the theatre. And this will just take a little bit of measuring. We want the legs of the theatre to be as tall as this bit. Just measure that. Let's see. So my legs are 7.5 inches tall and then 1.5 inches wide. So I will take my cardboard and measure 7.5. So it's the same height. I can make 4 legs out of it. So let's see if we have enough. This is why it's really good to make as little, like to try and save as much of this cardboard as possible, because you'll need to use it later. That being said, these legs can be made out of any kind of cardboard. I need 4 legs. Hopefully I can make them 1.5 inches each. You know what? Just so I can definitely use this, I'm going to make the legs 1 inch, which is so now I've measured 4 legs. I'll cut them out now. Great, so now I'm going to stick the frame together. So take one of your top strips and 2 of your legs. You're going to stick them like this. Great, so now we have one frame. Looks a bit funny at the moment because the legs are a different colour. We'll need to put little wings on these, but I'll show you how to do that in a minute. I'm just going to make the other backdrop in the same way. So we have our backdrop frames made. And now I'm going to show you how they're going to slot in. So we're going to make 2 little slots on either side of the wings so that the backdrops can just slide in. 2 slots here, and then the backdrop frames will have little wings that will slot in as well. So the first thing we'll do is measure where the slots are going to be on the wings. Because they're backdrop frames, you want to make the backdrop slot more towards the back of the stage so that there's a lot of room here for the characters to come in. If you put the backdrop right at the front, there'd be no room for the characters to come in and out. So I am going to measure this first, and it is almost 4 inches. So I think I'll make this slot probably about like 1/2 inch from the back of the theatre. So if you want to put it on the side and make a little mark where 1 inch is, or sorry, where 1/2 inch is, or whatever you decide you want to do your mark. 1/2 inch. Well, this part is a little bit tricky just because you've got your theatre made already. Okay. So then you're just going to take a wee scissors and you're going to just cut straight along that mark for about another ½ inch. This depends on the size of your box. It doesn't really matter as long as both the slots are the same. So I'm gonna measure 3/4 of an inch. And that's how long long of a cut I'm gonna do. So just be careful. And then, so where you've done that slit, where you've done that cut, you want there to be enough room for this to be able to slide in. I'll show you here on the prototype. It's not just that I've cut once and that's it. You need to make another little cut next to it and then trim it off. So you're making a little like wedge. So not too much, just maybe like a millimeter, maybe, you know, but the same length. And if you go too thin, you can cut it again. And then you pull that little bit of paper off and cut underneath it. So I've got my little wedge cut out here, and I'm going to do the same on the other side. What's really important to remember here is that whatever side of the original line that you cut the second section, make sure it's the same on the other side. You basically want these to match so that the backdrop goes in straight, so it doesn't go in slanty. Now that I have my little wedges, I need to make the little wings for my backdrop frames. So the way that we do that, I'm going to take a bit of the extra card that we've saved, and I'm going to cut a kind of a bit of cardboard that I can stick onto the backdrop, and then it'll make a little wedge, a little wing here. So I've made 4 little bits to stick onto the backdrop. So you stick the wings, get a little bit of glue, and you're going to stick the wings like this. One thing that might be handy to do before you stick the wings on, which I'll show you how to do with the frame that I haven't done that with yet, is trace out what size you need your backdrops to be. So take whatever paper that you're going to make the backdrops out of, and just use your frame to trace. Actually, it's kind of A4. So just by luck, my backdrop frames seem to be A4, which is great. But some of you might have different size boxes, so it is handy to have a bigger piece of paper than A4 if you have a bigger cereal box. So I'm just going to cut these so I have them ready. So now I have my 2 sheets for the backdrops ready, which is great. I can put them to one side. I'll finish up with the wings on the backdrops. So for this to be able to slot in, it needs slots the same as this. So I'm going to cut slots along the very edge of the leg. So we're going to cut the exact same slots as we did on the theatre. Whatever length these were, mine was 3/4 of an inch. So I'm going to measure 3/4 of an inch of a slot here. So So now that you have cut your little slots here on the wings, I'll show you how they slot in to the slots in the paper theatre. Like that. Now we will stick our backdrops onto the frames. So I have 2 scenes from How to Catch a Star drawn up. So I remember I was saying I was going to do the beach and the park. So here is the beach with the pier and the waves, and here's the park with some trees. So I'm going to stick these to the front of the backdrop. I'll just show you both ways. So you could either stick it with the frame on the front and paint this black as well, or the way I'm going to do it is stick the backdrop to the front of the frame and not have like a frame, if you know what I mean. So you want to make sure that when you stick it onto the frame that it doesn't go past the bottom of the legs, because then it'll get caught on the floor. So now that I have my beach stuck to a frame, I'll show you what it looks like when I put it in. There. So now instead of the night sky, we have a beach. We have a beach. I'm going to do the same with the park backdrop that I have. So now I have this one stuck as well, which is the park. And that'll sit in there, and now we have the park as a backdrop. So now that I have my backdrops made, I'm going to show you how to make a set piece and then the characters. I'm going to just make a couple of these. I'm not going to make the whole story. I'm just going to use some examples, and then you guys can make as many as you want for your story. So the first thing is I'm going to use a set piece. So I'm going to try and recreate one of the first scenes in the book, which is when the boy is looking out his window and looking at the stars. So he's leaning out the window of his house. So I've drawn his house here. As you can see, I've drawn the top of the house. This is going to go really nicely with the stars background. So with all of these things, with the characters and the set pieces, you'll need some extra cardboard because we have to back them with cardboard so they stand up straight. I have some cardboard left over from another cereal box, so I'll just cut some of this off to use. So the first thing to do is draw your whatever set piece you want to make on a piece of white paper, and you can colour it in, and then stick it onto some cardboard. I've stuck it down to some cardboard, and now I'm going to cut it out. So now I have a house that will stand up. If it wouldn't stand up if it was just normal paper. That's why it needs to be on a bit of cardboard. I want my boy puppet to kind of interact with this window, so I'm going to cut the window shape out, and I'll be able to bring the puppet in behind this and he can look out the window. So now, you know, I'll be able to bring something behind there. I want to be able to bring the house in from the side. So as you can see, the chimney is in the way, so I might have to cut that chimney off a little bit. That's kind of what you need to be careful of here, is that you won't be able to bring in anything taller than this. If there's anything taller that you want to bring in, you can actually bring it in from the top. I'll show you that with a character later on. So I want to bring in the house like this. So to be able to do that, we need to put a bit of cardboard on the back of it so that when we bring anything in from the wings, we have something to hold so people don't see your hands. So this is handy. I had this bit of cardboard left over with the black paint, which is great because it means you can't really see it against the night sky. So I'm going to stick that onto the back of my house. So now the house is on a little bit of cardboard, so I can bring it in without anyone seeing my hand. So here is his house. And now I'm going to make a little puppet of the boy who can look out the window. I have him drawn already on a piece of paper. So here he is, drawn on a normal piece of white paper. And now I will stick him onto some card. Can probably use this bit again. Will he fit? Yeah. So this is a really handy thing to do with any like scrap cardboard that you guys have lying around the house. You can make loads of little puppets with them. So I've stuck him to a little bit of cardboard now, and I'll just cut him out as well. So I've got my little boy looking out the window all stuck to some cardboard now, and time to attach him to a little piece of cardboard as well. Now I've got him stuck to a wee piece of paper as well. This is how it could work. So once upon a time there was a boy who lived in a house. He loved stars, and every night he looked out his window at the beautiful stars and wished to have one of his very own. So that's the really cool thing about the paper theatre. You can bring in things, you can bring characters in and out, and if you have a couple of people helping on the show, you can have one person on one side and one person on the other, and they can be bringing in characters from either side. This is a great way of showing you guys how to make a set piece or a character, and I'll just show you a couple more characters that I made for How to Catch a Star, and maybe that'll give you some ideas about which characters you want to make from the story that you've chosen. Eagle, big star, and then a little smaller version of the star, and then the boy. So I'm going to do exactly the same thing as I did with the other guys. I'm going to stick all of these to cardboard and then stick them to some pieces of cardboard that we can bring them in and out of the scene. Now that I've got all my characters stuck to the cardboard and let them dry a little bit, I'm going to cut them out now. I'm going to be very careful about the boy's legs because they're quite thin. I'm actually going to leave this space of cardboard between the boy's legs because otherwise there won't be enough for the piece of cardboard to stick to that I want to bring him in on. So now I've got all my elements of my show stuck to cardboard and cut out. I'll stick these guys onto cardboard so I can bring them in and out. I'm going to show you one more way to stick a bit of this onto a character. So these two, I stuck cardboard onto them so you can bring them in through the sides of the stage. But you can also bring stick things. Let's take the rocket. So I'll probably want to bring the rocket in from here so that I can kind of make the rocket go. So I probably have more control over it if I stick this to the top. That's really it. Instead of sticking the cardboard to the side, you can choose to stick the cardboard at the top, and that means you'll be able to bring it in from the top. So when you're thinking about your story that you want to tell, have a think about what way you want to bring any characters in or any props or things. Which way would be better? Which way would suit the character or the item better? And also, you can maybe make even a couple of different versions. You can have a rocket, well, I could make a rocket that was able to come in from the top, or I could make a rocket that came in from the side. I could make two, and then I'd have the option. So I'm just going to stick my rocket to this, and I'll stick all my other characters to cardboard as well. There's other ways of making puppets as well. I've got a bit of thread here that I'm going to stick onto the back of this small star, and I can kind of hang it in with the thread. I'll use a little bit of tape, very small bit of tape because the star is very small. Now I have all my characters, and then I have a wee little star hanging from a thread. And now with all my characters and my backdrops, I'm going to do a very quick version of How to Catch a Star using my cereal box paper theatre, and I hope you enjoy it. It's a very short version, so it won't have every bit of the story, but it's just to give you guys an idea of how all the elements can work. One tip for when you're doing your show, if you feel like it's a little bit wobbly, you could actually use blue tack to stick your paper theatre from the back against a wall. So if you had a table up against a wall and you had your paper theatre on the table, you could just secure the back of your theatre to the wall with blue tack or white tack, and that would just mean it would be a bit more stable. So that's an option. Or you could tape it to a table if you need it as well. Should be okay though, like this one seems quite secure. And now a condensed paper theatre version of How to Catch a Star. Hope you enjoy. Once upon a time, there was a boy who lived in a house and who loved stars. Every night, he would look out his window. He would look out his window and he would stare at the stars, and he would wish that he had one of his very own. One night, he saw a shooting star, and he had a great idea. He was going to get up very, very early, and he was going to try and catch a star. In the morning, he went to the park. It was a lovely morning, but he didn't see any stars. Well, he decided to wait until some stars appeared. And while he waited, he thought of some ways that he might be able to reach the star once he saw it. He thought about his rocket that he had at home, that maybe he could ride the rocket to space. Oh, but he remembered it had run out of petrol the last time he used it. So that wasn't going to work. He kind of wandered a bit to the sea. Where he met A seagull. Quack, 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 quack. Oh, maybe you can help me reach the star. Maybe you can fly me up to the night sky. Suddenly, he noticed a star in the water. Oh, great! I have my very own star! He ran down the beach. And sure enough, he found a star of his very own on the beach. He took the star for walks and for picnics in the park. We'll be best friends forever! Yay! And now, the boy has a star of his very own. Yay! I hope you guys enjoyed that. I really enjoyed making all of this stuff. It was so much fun, and I hope you enjoyed making your paper theatres along with me. I can't wait to see which stories you've chosen to create. I'm really looking forward to seeing all your videos, and have fun, and you know, there are no limits. You are the master of your world here with this paper theatre, and you can experiment and have as much fun as you want. I hope you really enjoy it, and thanks so much for coming along with me on this workshop. Slán!
Thank you, Branar Téatar do Pháistí. We hope that you will take our community art challenge and use what you learn to make, record, and send us your production. Irish Arts Centre will compile all submissions into a premiere as part of our visual arts exhibition in June 2021. To sign up for the challenge, please visit irishartcentre.org. Next up, no Irish Arts Centre St. Patrick's Open Day would be complete without a performance from the Niall O'Leary School of Irish Dance. The Niall O'Leary School of Irish Dance is a community of Irish dancers of all ages who learn up-to-the-minute Irish dance technique, style, and choreography. The school is celebrating its 20th year in NYC and has been featured on NBC TV, Fox 5, CBS Radio, NPR, The New York Times, The Daily News, The Irish Echo, Irish Central, and Fuji TV Japan. In the past few years, the school has performed at City Hall, Radio City Music Hall, Carnegie Hall, the New York Supreme Court, and the Jacob Javits Center. And for many years, the school has danced and marched in the New York City St. Patrick's Day Parade on Fifth Avenue. Please enjoy the Niall O'Leary School of Irish Dance.
Bannockby, the Fiddle, Padraig, Irv, Galair. Happy St. Patrick's Day from the Niall O'Leary School of Irish Dance.
Thank you, the Niall O'Leary School of Irish Dance. To close out our St. Patrick's Open Day this year, we have a concert from husband and wife duo Zoe Conway and John McIntyre. They're joining us from their home in the Cooley Peninsula of Ireland. They bring an eclectic blend of classical jazz and world music to the traditional Irish compositions and songs. They have released 2 recordings to date, including their debut, Long Life to You, which received 5 stars from the Irish Times. Zoe has performed with many international artists, including Riverdance, Damien Rice, Lou Reed, Nick Cave, and Rodrigo y Gabriela, and has appeared as a soloist with acclaimed orchestras, including the Irish Chamber Orchestra, National Symphony Orchestra, BBC Symphony Orchestra, and German WDR Symphony Orchestra. Her work has also been featured in many major film soundtracks. John grew up in the Cooley Mountains, where he took up guitar at the age of 8. He began his career as electric guitarist with the indie band The Revs, with whom he toured internationally and performed in famed festivals including Oxygen and Slán in Ireland and Reading and Leeds in the UK. He has worked alongside many world-renowned producers and is now also producing and recording in many genres. Called simply one of the best folk duos on the planet by BBC, please enjoy the music of Zoe Conway and John McIntyre.
Díomh agus bhar 100,000 fáilte go teach saganne ag gúilne chunda Lou. You're very welcome to our home here in the Cooley Mountains in North County Louth on the east coast of Ireland. And we're very excited to be doing this show specially for the Irish Arts Centre in New York. This is the first time that we've actually played for the centre, so very exciting to be doing it virtually. And I hope you're all keeping well. I hope you're going to enjoy all the St. Patrick's Day celebrations that are going on. And hope you're all keeping safe over there. I'm Zoe Conway and this is John McIntyre, and we're going to start this concert, this mini concert, with a piece that we composed together which is called Eilech na Muc, which means the Pass of the Dolphin. And this piece was inspired by actually getting to see dolphin in the west coast of Ireland a few times last summer, which was an amazing experience with our kids as well, so very, very special. So that's where the name comes from. I hope you like it. First one down. The next set we're going to play is actually kind of an international set, and I thought it might be nice, especially for all you American folk, because it starts with a piece from Donegal, which is called Gillespie's Mazurka, and then into a tune from Scotland, which is called The Baker's Reel, composed by James Scott Skinner, and the last piece is actually an American piece composed by brilliant fiddle player and guitar player and mandolin player and probably lots of other instruments, Mark O'Connor, and this tune is called The Calgary Polka. So we'll try this set for you now. It's very surreal doing a concert from your home. Isn't that right, John? What do you think?
Yeah, it's lovely.
I know, it's a treat. It's actually a treat to get to play. We haven't really been performing for months and months and months, so any excuse really to be able to play a few tunes is just lovely. And we're going to sing a song for you now. This is a song called Dúlaman, and Dúlaman actually means seaweed, and it actually comes from this area where we live here on the Cooley Peninsula. It comes from Omeath, which isn't very far away, just over there. And people used to go to the beach there and gather the seaweed and dry it, and then they'd bring it to Newry, a big town just across the way. And they would sell it there at the market, and they'd buy fancy clothes and nice things to eat and things like that with it. So it's talking about the beautiful seaweed, and of course seaweed is now a superfood, isn't it? It's back in fashion again.
We're finally catching up. I was right all along.
That's right. I was just thinking, if you wanted to get in touch with us or send us a message, you can always maybe find us on our Facebook page, which is Zoe Conway and John McIntyre, and send us a message, because sometimes it's nice to hear from people and see how you're all getting on out there. So that's an idea if you wanted to get in touch. So we'll try this. Dúlaman. the next piece is another one that we composed together. This was actually composed in memory of one of the greatest Irish poets that we've had and most loved, Seamus Heaney. And we composed this piece actually just after Seamus passed away a few years ago. And it's called Almost Hamish, which means in memory of Seamus, or in honour of Seamus. And I suppose we didn't want it to be like a lament or anything like that. We thought it could be maybe a bit more powerful and uplifting. So we chose a march going into a slipjig. So we'll try this for you now. Almost Hamish.
I need tune again.
Yeah, no problem. You can put the kettle on now. Have we drink? Cheers. Sláinte. last couple of years we actually got to play that piece with orchestra, which is absolutely amazing, arranged by Gavin Murphy, a very talented arranger, and it was one of the highlights of our careers, getting to play pieces that we composed and songs that we composed with orchestra. We actually got to play at Flacchiol na Heron, one of the biggest Irish music festivals in the world, and it was a real honour and really amazing experience. And the next piece that we're doing, a song, is another one that we got to play with orchestra, which is called Pháistí a Jódsa, which means I will find solace, or I will find peace. And this actually comes from a poem by a famous poet who lived on the west coast called Martin O'Deron. And he talks in the poem about how he will find his peace. He's going to be amongst his own people in the west, and he's going to walk along the beach morning and evening, and that's where he'll find his peace. So a really beautiful poem, and I set it to music, so I created a melody around his words, and we wrote this piece together, which is called Pháistí a Jódsa. Well, we've come to the very last set of this mini concert for you guys today. I really hope you've enjoyed it. And we'd like to say thanks very much to Jessie and the team there for inviting us to come and play for you virtually. We hope, of course, to come and play in real life at some stage. And we'll get to see the beautiful new venue. And I've heard a lot about it, so looking forward to that. Any excuse to go to New York, really. Isn't that right, John?
Yeah. Hopefully next year.
Yeah, please God. So we're going to finish with two tunes. The first one was composed by Scottish bagpiper Robert Matheson, and it's called Desert Storm. And the second piece is one that I composed, and it's called Rounding Mallinhead. So hope to see you along the road sometime. Slán agus beannacht.
Thank you, Zoe Conway and John McIntyre, for that beautiful performance. Thank you again to Niall O'Leary and the Niall O'Leary School of Irish Dance, Branar Téatar do Pháistí, Johnny Cuomo, Siobhán Kavanagh, Brad Lawrence, James Cleveland, Beto O'Byrne, and Jonathan Matthews. Be sure to check out the rest of our programming at irishartcenter.org throughout the week. Happy St. Patrick's Day and happy spring. Bye for now.